For your homework, okay, on 1 through 6, what you're doing is you are finding the center and the radius of each circle given the equation of that circle. Did you have questions on 1 through 6? You have to look at the equation, figure out what the center is, figure out what the radius is, and how you do that. It's the opposite of what you would think. So like for number 3, +1 there in the formula is really a -1. And then that's your x value, and then the y value of the center is a +7. And then how did we get 4.4 for number 3? The square root. Okay. And then on the next section, 7 through 12, you guys had to write the equation given the center and the radius. So you had to fill in those numbers for h and k in the formula, and then you had to square the radius, multiply it times itself. Did y'all have questions on 7 through 12? Okay. In my defense, I did not make this. But yes, okay, so let's fix that. On number 12, it says the center is at 2, 6. +2, +6. So where it says y -3, that should be y -6. This should be y -6 squared. Okay. All right. 13 and 14, you had to make the graph given that equation. So you have to find the center on number 13. The center would be +1, -3. Remember, it's opposite. And then r squared is 4, so r is just 2. And on number 14, if you didn't make this graph, I understand, because it was hard to kind of guesstimate where 3.7 is as a radius. So it's between 3 and 4, closer to 4. Do your best here. It does not have to be perfect. And then on 15 and 16, you are given the graph, you are given the circle. You have to find what that center point is. Where's your center? And what's your radius? So you just have to count from your center. So if this is my center, I'm going to count how many units up. 1, 2, 3, 4. It looks like it's 4 units in all directions. So my radius is 4. So the radius squared would be 16. Did you guys have any questions? Huh? Yeah. And there's the first section again. Okay. We good? Okay. So get out your notes for today. So you started these notes yesterday. And let's fill in that back page. Okay. So to determine if a point is on the circle, substitute the point into the formula for x and y. Okay. So let's do that. Example, is the point 2, 3 on the circle? So we have to substitute in a 2 for our x and a 3 for our y in this equation. If you get the same number on both sides, then yes, it's on the circle. If you do not get the same number on both sides of the equation, it is not on that circle. So we shouldn't be on our phones. Okay, so we have a 2 for our x, so that's going to be 2 minus 2 squared. And then we have a 3 for our y, so we're going to put a 3 in right here. 3 plus 1 squared equals 16. So what is 2 minus 2? 0. What's 3 plus 1? What is 0 squared? 0. What is 4 squared? Does 16 equal 16? Yes. So that point is on 2, 3 is on the circle. Let's try another example, and then I want you to try one on your own. So the next example says, is 0, 5 on this circle? So we're going to plug in a 0 for x and a 5 for y. That's going to be 0 plus 1 squared plus 5 minus 4 squared. What is 0 plus 1? 1. What is 1 squared? What is 5 minus 4? What is 1 squared? So what is 1 plus 1? 2. Does 2 equal 1? So no, 0.05 is not on this circle. Okay, I want you to try the next one. Is the 0.52 on this circle? X plus 1 squared plus y minus 2 squared equals 36. Substitute in a 5 for x and a 2 for y. I'm just going to keep the video rolling. Guys at home, try this on your own. What did you find out? It is? Okay. Let's see. If we plug in a 5 for x, so that's 5 plus 1 squared, and then a 2 for y, 2 minus 2 equals 36. Okay, so what's 5 plus 1? And then 2 minus 2 is 0. So what is 6 squared? So yes, that point is on the circle. Do you see how this works? No. As long as you have yes or no, that'll suffice. Okay. Next section, writing the equation given the center and a point. Okay, so substitute the center and point into the formula for h, k, and y. Solve for the radius. And when you're writing out your equation, write the equation with the center and the radius. And I'll explain these steps as we do them. Okay. So an example, we have a circle with the center at 0, 0, so h is 0, k is 0. And a point, x and y, would be 5 and negative 12. So I like to write above, my center is hk, my point is xy. And if you know your equation, just fill in where they go. Remember, we are trying to find the radius. So our first step is to substitute the center and point into the formula for h, k, x, and y. If you need to do this, if you need to kind of remind yourself of what the formula is, just go ahead and copy it down right here. First step, we're going to say x minus h squared plus y minus k squared equals r squared. Now I just fill in all of those except for r. H is 0, k is 0, x is 5, y is negative 12. So x is 0. Nope. Sorry, guys. X is 5, h is 0, y is negative 12, k is 0. We're trying to find r. What is 5 minus 0? 5. Keep it squared. What is negative 12 minus 0? Negative 12. So keep it squared. I'm going to continue up here. What is 5 squared? So we have 25 plus, what is negative 12 squared? Put parentheses around it. What's negative 12 times negative 12? It's going to be a positive 144. Okay. At this point, we are still in step 2. We are solving for the radius. What is 25 plus 144? 169. So to get that r by itself, you have to take the square root. That's going to give you 13 equals r. So we've substituted in the center and the point. We've solved for the radius. Now we have to write the equation. So we have to write the equation with the center and the radius. keep the X and the Y, just like you did yesterday. When you had the center and the radius and you wrote the equation, we're at that point now where we can do that. Okay, so looking back at your equation here, we're going to have x minus h squared. Well, what is h? 0. So it's just going to be x squared plus y squared. You don't have to put the parentheses because your center is at 0, 0. And technically, in the formula, it's r squared. So you can kind of stop here if you just have to write the equation. But if you had to graph, you would have to take the square root to find out how many units to count. But in the formula, it's r squared, so this is going to be 169. So when you write that equation, it's x squared plus y squared equals 169. We're going to try another example, and then you're going to do one on your own. Okay, so write an equation of a circle with a center of 2, -3. So h is 2, k is -3, and a point at -4, 5. X is -4, y is 5. So when we have x minus h, x is -4, h is 2. So in the formula, it's still a negative there. So you're going to have -2 squared plus y minus k. What is y? 5. What is k? So we're going to have 5 minus a -3. I'm just going to go ahead and write that so you can see where that came from. And then r squared. What is -4 minus 2? -6. And then what is 5 minus -3? That's really 5 plus 3, right? What's 5 plus 3? Okay, so let's continue up here. What's -6 times -6? 36. What is 8 times 8? Okay, what is 36 plus 64? That's 100. So you know that r squared is 100. In the formula, it's r squared. So that's what goes in on the other side of the equal sign. If you had to graph, you would take the square root. Okay, so let's write our equation. This is step 3. When you write the equation, you write it with the center and the radius. So we're going to have x minus h, so that's going to be x minus 2 squared plus y minus k. Well, y minus a -3 is really y plus 3. And then equals 100. So I want you to try the next one. And then we will check our work and then be done for the day. So at this point, you're working on that last question there. You want to hand it back? What's in your book? Which part? You've got your formula, right? -5 is h, -7 is k, 3 is x, 0 is y. Plug in all of those numbers right here. That's going to give you r squared. Right? So you should have gotten x plus 5 squared plus y plus 7 squared equals 113. Okay. When you plug in an x, x is 3, h is -5. So you end up getting 3 minus a -5, which is really 3 plus 5, which is really 8. When you plug in y is 0, k is -7. 0 minus a -7, that's really a +7. So we end up getting 8 squared plus 7 squared, which is 64 and 49. When you add those, you get 113. And unless you're graphing, you really don't have to take the square root, because r squared is what you want for your formula. So when you plug in the center, it's -5, -7, so it's going to be opposite in the formula here. So that's x plus 5 squared plus y plus 7 squared equals 113. Can you all see that? So questions? So if not, I'm going to do the last page here, 1 through 16. On 1 through 8, you have to plug in a 3 for x, a -2 for y. So this is x and y. Plug that in. And if you get the same number on both sides, it is on the circle. If you do not get the same number, it is not on the circle. So like for number 3, guys, what would you do there? You just plug in a -2 for x. You just plug in an 8 for y. On the last 8, those are kind of what we just did. You have to plug each of these into the formula, HK, XY, get your R squared, and then write the equation. So we should be working these last 15 minutes, 14 minutes of class. Shouldn't be on your phones. You should be working using this time wisely.